quickly becomes dangerous.
This wasn't a warning. It was an operation.
The Seditious Six, in theaters now.
A sitting United States senator could be dragged back into military uniform and forced to stand trial before a military tribunal. That's not speculation. That's not rumor. That's now an official option being weighed by the Pentagon. The Seditious Six scandal just became something that nobody in Washington saw coming, and tonight I'm going to show you exactly how Senator Mark Kelly went from astronaut hero to potential court-martial defendant. What he did on camera may cost him everything. And here's what's at stake. Senator Mark Kelly is a retired Navy captain. Under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, retired officers can still be recalled to active duty and prosecuted for conduct prejudicial to good order and discipline. The Pentagon has publicly confirmed that this is on the table. We're talking about a precedent that hasn't been set in modern American history. A sitting senator hauled before a military court for undermining the commander-in-chief. Now, if this moves forward, it sends a message to every politician in Washington. Your veteran status doesn't make you untouchable. The FBI is now scheduling interviews with all 6 lawmakers. Arizona Senate Republicans have published a formal letter demanding accountability, and the White House says Kelly's video was an attempt to intimidate 1.3 million active duty service members. This is no longer politics. This is a constitutional collision. Now, before we move forward, I want to take a moment to speak directly to you, the people who watch this show, who share our work, and keep us going every single day. This time of year especially, we stop and reflect on how grateful we are for this community. Now, none of this is possible without you, your encouragement, your comments, your prayers, and your support. If you'd like to help us keep fighting, keep producing, and keep telling the truth the only way that independent media can, we deeply appreciate your support by giving with your heart at the link in the description. It's on the screen right there. And if you can't donate, we get it. You can still help in a huge way. Just share the link to this video with a friend or family member. Text it to someone who needs to hear the truth today. Post it in one of your Facebook groups. Those shares make a massive difference for us. We're thankful for you, and we see you, and we could not do this without you. But here's where it gets even more explosive. Senator Ruben Gallego accidentally let slip a script was distributed before the infamous video was recorded. His exact words, "The script got to me, a pre-written directive, a coordinated message, a template urging troops to reject the president's authority." And that's why conservatives are now demanding subpoenas for every email, every text, every communication tied to that video. CIA officers told Jesse Waters this was part of a larger hoax designed to condition the country for a manufactured crisis. The Seditious Six weren't warning anybody. They were executing a larger plan. Here's the letter from the Arizona Senate Republicans. The Pentagon has to investigate a sitting U.S. senator for undermining military discipline. That tells you everything you need to know. Senator Mark Kelly crossed a line, and Arizona lawmakers aren't staying quiet. Here is the letter. The decision to use military service members as political props in a video implying that the commander-in-chief may issue illegal orders crosses a line that should have never been crossed. Your participation in this effort has understandably alarmed veterans, military families, and elected leaders who value the integrity and stability of our armed forces. By leaving unlawful orders vague and undefined, the video aims to plant suspicion before any order has even been given. The unmistakable implication is that President Donald J. Trump is preparing to issue illegal commands. This insinuation is false. Worse, it encourages doubt in the chain of command itself, a foundational threat to military discipline and national readiness. This is the letter that was sent to the Honorable Mark Kelly, Senator Kelly. Getting the letter signed. Multiple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 signatures. Oh, yeah, he's getting the message. And just 24 hours ago, out of the White House, another message was delivered.
Active duty service The White House is supportive of the Department of War's investigation into Senator Mark Kelly, and I think what Senator Mark Kelly was actually trying to do was intimidate the 1.3 million active duty service members who are currently serving in our United States Armed Forces with that video that he and his Democrat colleagues put out. Senator Mark Kelly well knows the rules of the military and the respect that one must have for the chain of command, and that all lawful orders are presumed to be legal by our service members. You can't have a functioning military if there is disorder and chaos within the ranks, and that's what these Democrat members were encouraging. It's very clear, and not a single one of them, since they've been pressed by the media, and I'll give you guys credit for that, can point to a single illegal order that this administration has given down, because it does not exist. They knew what they were doing in this video, and Senator Mark Kelly and all of them should be held accountable for that. The White House is supporting.
Sounds like they will all be held accountable very, very soon. Here is the letter issued November 25th, 2025, and published by the Department of War, a memorandum for the Secretary of the Navy. Subject: potentially unlawful conduct by Captain Mark E. Kelly, U.S. Navy, retired. Damn. This is serious, man. Oh, boy. Let's zoom in on this. The Department of War recently received information regarding potentially unlawful comments made by Captain retired Mark E. Kelly in a public video on or about November 18th, 2025. I'm referring this and any other related matters for your review, consideration, and disposition as you deem appropriate. Please provide me a brief on the outcome of your review by no later than December 10th, 2025. And that date is just around the corner. And this, the letterhead right there, Secretary of War. A memo for the Secretary of the Navy. Signed, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War. Damn, it's on. This just in. Mark Kelly under Department of War investigation for something genuinely unprecedented. Sitting senators telling active military to prepare for disobeying their commander-in-chief, not over specific legal orders they can cite, but theoretical ones they imagine might come. It's not oversight, it's sedition light wrapped in patriotic language. In the video Kelly and 5 Democrats posted wasn't standard military education about lawful orders. They spoke directly to members of the military and intelligence community, warning of enormous stress and threats from right here at home. When pressed, none of them can name a single order. They just want soldiers thinking about resistance. Here's why this matters. Congress doesn't train troops. The executive branch does. Lawmakers crossing into military command structure while suggesting the president might issue illegal orders without evidence is not brave. It's extremely dangerous. It undermines the chain of command based on partisan speculation. Pete Hegseth's uniform inspection jab was petty but revealing. Kelly can't even display his medals correctly while lecturing about military obligations. The Department of War reviewing potential Uniform Code of Military Justice violations is not intimidation, it's accountability. Military retirees remain subject to military law, especially when potentially inciting insubordination. Kelly's service record is impressive. His political stunt was not. Hegseth memo, as you just saw, is now on the table. Here's this from Representative Adelisha Grijalva, says that Senator Kelly was right to inform people of their rights. What do you think?
Disagrees with him.
So the Pentagon is threatening to court-martial your home state senator, Mark Kelly. Now the FBI is looking to interview him after he and other lawmakers called for troops to refuse illegal orders. What's your take on what you see happening here?
You know, this is just another attempt at Trump trying to silence anyone who disagrees with him. Senator Kelly was right to inform people of their rights. And the fact that if it is an illegal order, you don't have to follow it.
So the Pentagon is threatening to court-martial your home.
But what was implied? And speaking of being thankful, we have this from our commander-in-chief.
On behalf of the First Lady and the entire Trump family, I want to wish all Americans a very, very happy Thanksgiving. It's a great time of the year, and our country is doing really well economically like we've never done before.
I'm thankful that President Trump is in the Oval Office and that he is about to open up a can of whoop ass on all these senators. Everyone's talking about it. The Carosphere. Breaking. Pentagon just opened a full misconduct investigation of Senator Mark Kelly for telling U.S. troops disobey orders from the commander-in-chief, recalled active duty, court-martial now on the table. Hegseth calls it seditious and dangerous. Over on Rapid Response 47, they were reposting, which is something that I don't normally see them do, so this is quite out of the ordinary. We've got a couple of reposts that they did, and I'm going to play some of them for you here. Here's Graham Allen is one of the reposts. To all the morons out there, it's simple. Mark Kelly's guilty of sedition.
Looking into... All right, hi. This video goes out to all the morons out there. Mark Kelly, Senator Kelly, is guilty of sedition. Why? Because he was influencing our troops to question and or turn against and or cause division with our commander-in-chief. Now that he is in trouble and the Secretary of War and the Department of War are looking into possibly bringing him back on active duty to try him underneath the UCMJ, now all of a sudden all of the libtard Democrats are saying all he did was remind the troops that they have an obligation to disobey an unlawful order. Well, no duh. Every service member ever knows this. But no unlawful order has been given. So why even make the video in the first place? He made the video along with others that the Department of War can't touch, and you're lucky they can't. He made the video to seed doubt within our troops of our commander-in-chief, to seed disloyalty with our troops towards our commander-in-chief, to seed disobedience in our troops towards our Secretary of War. Senator Kelly is guilty of sedition, and he will be found so. And I hope they throw the book at him. And for all of you morons that are like, what's wrong with the combat veteran telling other veterans that they should disobey an unlawful, unconstitutional order because that's the way it should be? Because no unlawful order has been given. So the only reason you made that video in the first place is because you want to sow division and disloyalty and possible disobedience with the troops and their commander-in-chief. Thank you for your attention to this matter. All right.
Thank you for your attention to this matter. Yep, Mark Kelly, I hope you're paying attention. 8 hours ago, we have this from Fox News. FBI scheduling interviews with 6 lawmakers who encourage military members to refuse illegal orders. Jim Schultz on the Seditious Six. Our officers are listed folks. They all know they're not to engage in illegal activity. This was political gamesmanship.
On the part of those, our officers are listed folks. They all know that they are not to engage in activity that could be considered illegal. This was nothing but political gamesmanship on the part of those senators. They weren't helping our enlisted folks in the military. They weren't making them more safe. As a matter of fact, they're probably causing, some unrest and some confusion in the ranks. They answer to the officers and then up the chain to the generals. And folks know what their obligations are. And those all carry downstream. They didn't need a United States senator to tell them that. That was a complete political gamesmanship. And I'm not saying the president's reaction was right. I'm not saying that this investigation should take place. But I'm saying from the get-go, this is bad all the way across the board for.
Let me help Senators lock it out here.
Oh yeah, bad across the board, and it's just beginning. Leftists are bleeding that the Seditious Six only talked about illegal orders. Looks like we have some reaction over here on CNN with Caitlin Collins, with David Frum giving an example of an illegal order that, according to the left, soldiers are duty-bound to resist. The legal order was changing the name of the DOD to the Department of War. Wow.
A few years before that, where Secretary Hegseth has issued these tweets in which he said the Department of War is going to prosecute Senator Kelly. And then you had a clip at the top of your show from the White House press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, saying the Secretary of War, the Department of War, would never issue an illegal order. Well, calling it the Department of War is an illegal order. Congress arranged the Department of Defense in 1947. It passed a law in 1949 titling the Department of Defense the Department of Defense. It did so because a few years before that, the United States had hanged a bunch of Japanese generals for the crime of waging offensive war and wanted to make clear that the United States would fight only in self-defense, according to the rules of international.
He thinks that by Trump issued an illegal order by renaming the Department of Defense. That's the illegal order. Okay, troops, don't call it that then. Disobey. Call it the Department of Defense. Is that the best you can do, bro? Of course, this is CNN carrying water.
Law that the United States had imposed on Japan and Nazi Germany. Every time that, in violation of act of Congress, the secretary makes up these titles for himself, Secretary of Partying, Secretary of War, whatever he calls himself, those are illegal orders too. And so they're not the most morally offensive illegal orders, but they are illegal. And every time he gives himself his title, he's proving he is willing to issue illegal orders because the department was organized and named by act of Congress. The president unilaterally cannot change that.
Well, and this is something that Hegseth was questioned about, I believe, by Alyssa Slotkin during his confirmation hearing.
Oh, man, they are reaching. They are reaching with that one. My goodness, here's Tom Fitton weighing in. The great Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch. What unlawful orders has Trump given that justify the Seditious Six releasing that dangerous video?
They're not fooling anyone. First of all, what unlawful orders is President Trump given or is set to give that would warrant a video like this? What they are implying quite directly is that lawful orders that they don't like, Democrats or leftists or progressives, whatever you want to call them, should be ignored by our military, should be ignored by civilian intelligence officials. So if this isn't a sedition or calling for effectively a military coup, I don't know what you would do other than being more direct in doing so. So in my view, they're fooling no one. It's certainly encouraging in a dangerous fashion sedition against the president, mutiny, whatever you want to call it. And they are using their status as veterans to provide, I think, dangerous and bad faith advice to members of our military. They're not fooling anyone.
No, they're not. They can go on as many radio shows and TV shows and friendly media outlets and try to explain it away, but you can't put the genie back in the bottle, right? Pandora's box is open. The seditious six undermine President Trump as commander-in-chief. That is a crime. Mark Kelly could face additional charges under the UCMJ, according to Secretary of War. They knew what they were doing and should pay the piper, says Jim Hansen.
Interesting. Let's welcome to the show U.S. Army Special Forces veteran Jim Hansen. Jim, I wonder if Senator Slotkin knows that A Few Good Men was a fictional story. What say you?
I'm shocked. I was unaware as well. These people knew exactly what they were doing. They were using the credibility of their offices and their previous experience in the military or the intelligence community to try and convince some poor soul who's currently serving to throw away their career pretending that President Trump had issued an illegal order. Now, in that video, they weren't talking if you get an illegal order. They said things like, you must disobey illegal orders. You know, the threat is domestic, no longer foreign. You must be brave, those kind of things. They were not talking about the future. They were trying to suborn sedition, and now they're being held accountable.
You know, Jim, it feels like this could backfire big time on Democrats.
I think it already has. Any normal person knows what they were trying to do. And now, out of them, they're all under the potential penalty of U.S. code that says you are not allowed to undermine good order and discipline in the military. But Senator Mark Kelly's a retired officer. He's still bound by the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which has much more stringent rules, and he could be held accountable for that. Pete Hegseth put out a tweet today saying that he might open an investigation and bring him in and call him on the carpet for that.
Yeah, would you think that appropriate?
I think it's absolutely appropriate because that's what they were trying to do. They were undermining the commander-in-chief. They wanted to cause a problem for President Trump to be able to execute the lawful orders, and holding them accountable for that right now will tell other people not to do the same.
Interesting. Let's welcome...
Yep, it's happening, folks. They are going to regret sitting down in front of the camera that day. Here's another one of those posts that Rapid Response reposted today from Ashley. Since everyone else is sharing, here's my 2 cents on the Seditious Six. It's a dangerous and slippery slope that's being used by the Democrats for political gain and to sow seeds of confusion among our military.
Which we all know. Since everybody's giving their 2 cents on the Seditious Six, I'm going to add in my 2 cents. As a former Navy air traffic controller, let me be clear. Veterans in Congress should never be telling active duty service members which orders to follow and which orders not to follow. That is not their job. What they want to do and what they're trying to do, which we all know, is to plant that little seed of doubt in our service members' minds, especially our junior service members who rely heavily on clear and concise instructions and a clear chain of command. This is a very dangerous and slippery slope. And I think they know that, and that's why they've done what they've done. But they need to go focus on their job in Congress. Are they doing a good job? Probably not. The approval rating is super low. And let the commander-in-chief focus on giving the orders to our active duty service members and our troops. That is how the chain of command works. They need to learn to respect the uniform, especially if they've worn it. They should know better. They do know better, but they're doing this as a political game, and it's actually really sick. Respect the chain of command, respect the uniform, and focus on your job. Since everybody's giving their 2 cents on the seditious.
Jesse Waters on the Seditious Six. He talked to 2 CIA officers who said it was a part of a larger hoax. Oh, boy.
Tenths of a percentage. I sort of wanted her to keep talking. I mean, what foolishness. This is a woman who won a year ago by 0.3 of a percentage point in Michigan, by 19,000 votes out of 5 million cast. And she speaks like this: I want the people of Michigan, Arizona to know their senators are interested in sound bites and social media screeds rather than facts and figures.
So I talked to 2 CIA officers who said that this is a part of a larger hoax. And what they're doing here is they're trying to condition the country to prepare for something bad that's about to happen at the hands of Donald Trump. It's straight out of the CIA playbook. It's a destabilization operation where you get people to mistrust each other. And you do this because she's an analyst. And as an analyst, she would make sure what propaganda operations were successful, which ones weren't. So she knows what works. So the first part of the video, you establish authority. I'm CIA, I'm military, you need to trust us. Second part of the video, they introduce the threat. And the threat's not foreign, the threat's domestic, the threat's Donald Trump. And then at the end, they introduce the solution. What's the solution? You resist, you say no. But they don't give an option. They say this is an obligation for you to do. Now, she is being run because she didn't come up with this herself. She's a Brennan acolyte, and you usually don't have congressmen and senators doing anything together. They kind of hate each other. So in order to organize this had to have had some sort of handler telling her what to do.
Oh, yeah.
And it was risky because nothing like this has ever been done in the history of the country. And you can even tell because the media was skeptical and they couldn't answer the question. So they hadn't even been read in on the operation. You see them fumbling and stumbling. And I'm glad that the U.S. military is now investigating this guy Kelly, because this is what we expect from Donald Trump 2.0. You can't have the deep state interfering with a duly elected presidency and get away with it. You got to draw the line in the sand, and you have to make examples out of people.
And Mark Kelly will be the first example. Here's Air Force vet Buzz Patterson on the Seditious Six.
Veteran and hey everybody, this is Buzz Patterson. I'm a retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, retired Air Force pilot, combat veteran, and at one time I was the military aide to President Bill Clinton and carried the nuclear football and actually lived in the White House. So I've been around. I was actually, during my military service, deployed to 70 countries and fought in 3 wars. So I feel like I've got a dog in this hunt. I am very appalled at what the Seditious Six has done with their video. I think it's a violation of their oaths of office, and especially in the case of Senator Mark Kelly, I believe it's a violation of the UCMJ, and I hope that President Trump and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth hold them accountable. They are violating, and they are politically using their positions to undercut the command of President Donald J. Trump, and they're circumventing the chain of command. Congress and members of Senate are not in the chain of command. President Trump is, however, as our commander-in-chief. So I fully support going forward with whatever prosecutions are warranted and legitimate, and I think they are. On these individuals, they use their positions, military and in the intelligence community, to expose, I think, and put at risk those of us who serve in uniform. I think that what's going to happen is because they violated the military chain of command, people are going to die. They undercut the underpinnings of the military, which is good order and faith and trust in their leadership. And in my estimation, what they did was treasonous and seditious, and I hope they are prosecuted to the full extent. Again, my name is Buzz Patterson. I served in combat. I've served for 20 years, and I am outraged by what has happened by the Democrats, and I fear for what's going to happen to our young soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines if they choose to violate what is a legal order, which will ruin their lives and ruin their careers. Thank God, guys. God bless. See you.
God bless you too, brother. Here's more. This is out of the CNN newsroom. Trump and Hegseth, Paul Rykoff says, Trump and Hegseth crossed the Rubicon today. How funny is that? No, I believe it was those 6 that crossed the Rubicon. He writes, their attack on veteran Senator Mark Kelly thrusts America to a new dangerous place. Oh, okay, so you're going to attack the people who are going to hold him accountable, not the people that initiated the undermining of the commander-in-chief? He writes, not just for Kelly, but also for 2 million military retirees in this country. All Americans should be alarmed and outraged. Yeah, we should be alarmed and outraged that we have senators, congressmen, former members of the intelligence community openly calling for undermining President Trump's lawful orders
in America.
With us now, Paul Rykoff, founder and president of Independent Veterans of America. Paul, great to see you.
Good to see you.
What message do you think this sends to threaten to recall Senator Kelly for a court-martial?
I think it's exactly what Trump said. He wants to set an example. And Senator Kelly is a noted veteran. He's respected by people from all parties. He's an astronaut. He's a combat Navy aviator. And I think what Trump wants to say is if I can come after him, I can come after anyone. He's made it pretty clear he wants to come after his political enemies. He wants to intimidate people. I think it's important to remember there are 2 million military retirees in America. So he can come after this guy for his political speech or for something he doesn't agree with. I think he's trying to send a very effective and chilling message, not to senators, but to average people all across the country. And that's why this is so dangerous, so outrageous, so ridiculous, because it's about much more than just these 6 members. This is about free speech in America for 2 million military retirees.
That's not free speech, dude. That is not free speech. The Seditious Six told our troops to revolt against the president. There's one problem. Everything they're fighting is imaginary. Patrick Bet David going on with Jesse Waters. Listen.
They don't realize. I think normally they think they can get away with comments like this until they face a guy named President Donald Trump who sued and won money against George Stephanopoulos, YouTube, Twitter. How many other companies you want me to talk about that? He won so many different lawsuits. about to go after BBC. They don't realize they're going after somebody that's probably going to hold them accountable. And Mark Kelly, obviously, thank you for his service. He wrote a long tweet today. It's very obvious he's writing the tweet in response to say, here's my resume. I'm sorry I said this. Don't come after me. I'm a very important patriot. I love America. And on the other side, Hexet is like, you already crossed the line with the comments here. Just go read history with what happens with this. They crossed the line, and I highly doubt this administration is going to let this one go. I think...
Nope, they're not going to let this slide. It's happening. Oh, this guy, Ruben Gallego. Hey, Pete, we won't be intimidated. This guy looks like he's been busy crying in his cry closet.
Department of Defense. This is fucking insane. We should all point out how fucking insane this is. Hey, this is Ruben Gallego. I'm traveling through Arizona right now, and I just received the news that the Department of Defense is starting an investigation against my seatmate, Mark Kelly. This is fucking insane. We should all point out how fucking insane this is.
How many F-bombs are you going to drop, dude?
These guys are trying to say that they're not acting like fascists. They're not trying to give as much power to this president as a king, and they should stop acting like it.
What? He's following the law? I mean, that makes him a fascist? I don't understand. I don't know. Drop another F-bomb. Make yourself sound really important.
Mark Kelly's a patriot. There's no reason why they're going after him. He was doing his duty and just reminding people about their rights as service members. And,
Yeah, keep trying, bro. Keep trying, dude. Keep coping, brother. Yeah, this party's not over yet, dude. Conservatives are calling for all communications to be subpoenaed after Senator Ruben Gallego reveals a seditious script went out for the infamous video calling the troops to rebel. The script got to me. He even admits it. The same guy crying in his car, admits it on CNN.
Life. Did you consider, why were you not part of this video?
Yeah, actually, so I was part of the first video. The second video is by the time the script got to me and it was in the middle of a lot was going on, I just didn't have time to actually record it, but I'm 100% in alignment with them altogether. This stuff happened. It just happened not to end up being a recording. There's really no other 3D chess to this.
The logistics of human life.
Yep.
All right, fair enough. So what message would you send?
So that's hilarious. He just wasn't able to get to the video, so he's not going to be held accountable. It's funny because if you look at what he's wearing in this CNN interview, it's the same clothing he's wearing as he's driving around crying in his car, making excuses for his seatmate. But the genie's out of the bottle. And here is the hammer blow. The Pentagon has confirmed it has the legal authority, not through fascism, but the law, to recall Mark Kelly to active duty and try him before a military tribunal. Not a civilian court, a military court, where the rules are different, where the consequences are real. You saw Air Force veteran Buzz Patterson called it treasonous, demanding prosecution to the fullest extent. Jim Hansen said undermining the commander-in-chief is a crime. Kelly should pay the piper. Well, tonight, the Seditious Six scandal is no longer controversy. It's a federal, military, and constitutional crisis. So why does it matter? It matters because it exposes a dangerous truth. Elected officials believe they're above the law. 6 lawmakers, hiding behind their veteran status, released a video urging active duty troops to disobey the president. They claim they were warning against illegal orders, but of course no illegal orders existed. Even their own allies couldn't name one. What they did was plant seeds of insubordination inside the greatest military on earth. And now the Pentagon is responding. The Department of War is responding. The FBI is investigating. And Mark Kelly, a man who once flew in space, may soon find himself grounded in a courtroom facing charges under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. You see, this is accountability in action. So here's my question for the comments section. Should Mark Kelly be court-martialed for his role in the Seditious Six video? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments, and if you want to wear your patriotism on your sleeve, check out the Next News merch shop. You'll find it linked in the description.